Welcome, everybody, to another Sleuth Intuition Live. Tonight, we are going to be talking about the Delphi double homicide, Abigail Williams, Liberty German. This took place February 13th of 2017. What we're going to do is we're going to look at all of the evidence that was released to the public by law enforcement. We will take a look at some news updates. I think in regards to Barbara McDonald. And then I want to play a short little video. And then I want to talk about the timeline. Try to get your guys' opinions on some gaps in time or some areas of missing time there. And then we'll open it up. But first, I have a task for my mods out there. This is pretty much your first real task. So if you see any negative talk, or if you see anybody bring up like Gray Hughes or True Crime Bloke, I want you to put them in timeout, a very short timeout. We're not going to do that here. We're going to make some changes. So if you think you can handle that, let me know. If you can't, I will find a willing and able body. I'm sure somebody out there would be willing to do that. So, first things first. Let's check out some news. Yep. Hey, Lisa. Okay. So you've probably seen this already today at some point. I know I've seen it on a couple of my favorite channels, Monsters Under the Bed, stuff like that. They've been doing a pretty good job of reporting, keeping everybody up to date. But in case you haven't seen it, this was posted on Twitter. I believe it was shared by Kelsey. That's actually where I first seen it, and I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to share that." But I don't know if this puts anything to rest. So let's read it. It says here, for those following the Delphi case, Indiana State Police requested FBI remove the height and weight from the description because they don't want people to focus on and not call a tip-in. ISP says focus on still image, second sketch, and the voice. And then they have the tip line right here. So I don't know, is that her opinion? Is she kind of answering the question the same way we might, or is this some type of an official position? Because if you see here, they left the hair, reddish brown hair. That kind of leads me to believe more that they have phenotyping for this sketch here. So I don't know if that's an official stance, if that's her opinion, or if she has privileged information. What's up, Ophelia? Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. Reddish brown hair. So they don't want you to focus on the weight, but they want you to focus on the hair. So, I mean, or is that just kind of like a Captain Obvious comment? They removed it because they don't want you to focus on it. Like, yeah, we already know that. That's what our question is. Why don't they want us to focus on it? What changed? Still leaves the question. Oop, Journey dropping, I think that's a super sticker. That's awesome, guys. Thank you. Mary Ellen, welcome. One of my favorites. Hello. I hope you're doing okay. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate that love. So, what do you guys think about this? What are your opinions? Ooh, CD in the house. Hey man, if you want to call in at any point during this first half, before I get into all the timeline stuff, because I kind of have it mapped out. I mean, you can even hang out at that point too. Let me know. Really, I'm just going to be going over all of the evidence here. Of course, we're going to take a look at the young sketch. I think I have a better image here. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at this one. James, thank you. Thank you for your words of encouragement as well. You're actually a very inspirational dude. Have to admit that. Yeah, don't block anybody, Ophelia. Just kind of put them in a timeout. We want to start getting away from that kind of behavior. You know, get caught up in that negative stuff. Ooh, Bird Blue, what's up? I think the whole case seems to be zigzagging, like they are trying to shake people off. What do you mean? You mean shake them off? Like they're really not talking to us? Maybe they're doing a little psychological communication. Analysis of crime with CD says, my opinion, removal altogether was smarter than changing the details. If that was the reasoning, 5'6", 160 pounds. I don't feel fits. So best to remove altogether. Yeah, I think this guy's slender and maybe like 5'10". Because that's my brother's height. He's kind of slender. He's like just a little bit taller than me. He's like 5'10", 5'11". And he's slender, but he's got kind of wide shoulders. It kind of matches that. Reminds me of that. But who knows? Welcome, Aspen. Tell Sonny I said, hey. I see 5'10" to 6 foot. Yep. That's what I'm thinking as well. 5'10" seems just about right. For some reason, the video that they originally put out, the downloadable version, it seems like they got him a little bit squashed. You know what I mean? They should really think about re-releasing that in its original form. Well, according to Keegan, he says he's about the same height. I think they said anywhere between 5'10" and 6 foot. I could be mistaken. I know he said he weighed like 180 or something like that. Let's zoom in. Well, there's a good question. Oh, well, hold on. Let me get over here to. Let's start with Bird Blue. Yes, you're right. Why stick to the hair? They just do not seem to be sticking to any one description, like it could be anybody. Yeah, I wonder if they're using DNA or something. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. What's up, Duke? I still don't get why they used the second sketch. I don't think BG will look like that. I don't know, but apparently they had the sketch was available on the 17th of February. And there was even apparently a comment I mean, I didn't see a video where the guy says it, but there is an article where a reporter actually speaks to, supposedly the sketch artist. It's out there. I mean, if you look for it, you should be able to find it. But early on, he gave an interview and he said, "Yeah, the information came from witnesses and other sources." So I don't know if that's just like, something that they've been asked to say. It's like a programmed response. Anytime they bring maybe because there's so many sketches, so many different witnesses at different times, DNA possibly, incorrect witnesses. Maybe they just don't wanna, whenever sketches are brought up, they just have a blanket statement, that just covers all of it. I really don't know. Yeah, I think they're working hard, and I think they're making a lot of progress, especially with all this Anthony Shot stuff. I mean, they wouldn't have let that out unless it meant something. Let's see what Donald said. Donald said when Greeno walked out on the bridge and stood next to BG, BG's head and body looked so much bigger. Yeah, I think Greeno's a little bit shorter. I think he might be like 5'7", 5'8". So you got to remember there's a lot of motion blur on this image too. So I actually think the hat actually stops right here. Might even be backwards. Kind of see the brim kind of sticking out right here. But all this other stuff is really blurry motion. Not only from him walking, but probably from Libby moving around too, kind of just real subtle movements of the hand. But you can kind of make out the hat right here. And this is most likely just the hood. In my opinion. Let's see. Hmm. Yeah, and if you go onto the Indiana.gov, there's different versions of the video that you can actually watch, and they look different. There's like subtle differences. You should go check it out. That's your homework. Go check that out. Yes. I agree with that, Grunge Truck. He looks very focused in right there. And a lot going on here. You got this fanny pack thing right here. And it seems like he's reaching in and out of it, whatever it is. Fanny pack, holster, big ass glove, whatever it is, he's doing something down here. There's activity. And he's got something that appears to be bulging here. This may not be connected, but there's definitely something here. So, law enforcement wants us to take a look at still images. That is my rendition. Let's see what else we got. All right. The young sketch. Sorry, I'm sending CD a link right now. I didn't forget about you. What up, Joe? Yeah, it kind of looks like Keegan Klein too. Like if Keegan was like slimmer, like the cheek area right here kind of reminds me of that. Got Frank, Marvin, Stacy, what's up? Laura, such a common face, looks like about 25% of the young men I went to Purdue with. Yeah, that's tough. What's up, Misbehaved? Welcome. Yeah, busy's good, man. Busy is always good. Sometimes being bored is good too. Just depends. CD, let me know when you got that. Yeah, there you go. See, Jules, you got to focus in on the specifics here. I mean, look how tiny that nose is, but yet the cheeks are really kind of puffed out a little bit. You got to kind of ask yourself, why did they do that? And then the way the chin is, it's kind of more of a predominant chin. And I hate to say it, but yeah, that does look like Tony Klein's chin. He has a weird chin. It's very protruding. Oh, cool. All right, so we may be having a special guest. That's pretty cool. Makes the night that much more interesting. So let's continue. Change that. There we go. Oops, sorry. That was a little scary. Let's see here. And then we also have the audio here. Can you guys hear that? I don't know if I turned on the audio. Thanks, Marvin. Yeah, I mean, that could be anybody. There's just so many variables there. Be really nice to like narrow them down somewhat. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video before we get into oh no, here's another piece of evidence. Let's take a look at this. It's actually the newest piece here.
My name is Sergeant Jeremy Piers, the Public Information Officer with the Indiana State Police out of the Lafayette Post. While investigating the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, detectives with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office and the Indiana State Police have uncovered an online profile named Anthony Schatz. This profile was being used from 2016 to 2017 on social media applications, including but not limited to Snapchat and Instagram. The fictitious Anthony Schatz profile used images of a known male model and portrayed himself as being extremely wealthy and owning numerous sports cars. The creator of the fictitious profile used this information while communicating with juvenile females to solicit nude images, obtain their address, and attempt to meet with them. Pictured on your screen, you'll see images of the known male model and the images of the fictitious profile sent to the underage females. We have already identified the male in these images that were used by Anthony Schatz. The male in the photo is not the person of interest in the investigation. Detectives are seeking information about the person who created the Anthony Schatz profile. Investigators would like any individual who communicated, met, or attempted to meet the Anthony Schatz profile to contact law enforcement by utilizing the tip email, Abby and Libby Tip at cacoshrf.com. Please provide as much information as you possibly can. For example, when you communicated with Anthony Schatz, how you communicated with the profile, what social media applications the account used, and if Anthony Schatz attempted to meet you or obtain your address. If you have saved images or conversations with Anthony Schatz profile, please attach them to your email. Again, if you have any information, please contact law enforcement by utilizing the tip email, Abby and Libby Tip at cacoshrf.
So we'll leave that up for a little bit. So if you heard what the officer said, says that he tried to meet them. So I mean, these guys weren't just catfishing. Catfishing. That's like, well, I mean, they could be catfishing and then eventually meeting them. Hold on one second. Okay. So while I'm waiting for CD to verify that email, I'm going to go ahead and play this video. And then I want to get into breaking down the timeline. Kind of like when they were dropped off, the timeline between when they were dropped off um, to when apparently they had an encounter on the bridge. I want to go over all of that. I think I have a pretty good breakdown of it. So we'll take a look at that.
Grieving families and friends of those two girls slain on a hike, and they're coming together for the first time
Is
to
that you,
speak
CD?
about their anguish.
Yeah.
It's like I had open heart surgery,
Sorry, was that you?
but they
Yeah, I'm
never
here.
used
Can
any
you hear me?
anesthesia.
I'm here.
Yes. Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I sent you an email, you didn't respond, so I just wanted
No,
to
no
double
problem.
check.
Yeah, I just said I'd set my iPad up.
Okay.
Well, good.
All
You
right,
can play it.
so-
I'll mute.
Okay, good.
And they say, I'm sorry, you're just going to have to live this way with part of your heart missing the rest of your life.
The families tell me they have faith that the man responsible for the murders will face justice. His voice was captured by the girls on a cell phone.
We're gonna get them. We're willing to wait. We're willing to wait as long as it takes.
13-year-old Abigail Williams and her best friend Libby German went missing after setting out on this hiking trail in Indiana. Their bodies were found the next day in the woods. I sat down with the families at Libby's home where they had gathered. The walls were adorned with tributes to the two teens gone too soon.
What do you miss most about the girls?
An easier question is, what don't you miss? That one's easy.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Abigail's mother, Anna, told me a recent dance at the school the girls attended brought home the heartache.
Part of me wanted to go to the school and see all the girls in pretty dresses and give them all hugs. But I knew how hard it was going to be to not have our babies there.
In February, after the girls were found dead about a quarter of a mile from this bridge, tens of thousands of tips from the public came pouring in to help catch the murderer. Law enforcement here in Carroll County, Indiana, are still chasing down leads every day, but the killer remains on the loose.
There's somebody out there running around, a murderer.
This just released composite sketch of a suspect is raising hope.
It actually gives a better view of the person in the picture that you see down below.
Cops say he's white, between 5'6" and 5'10", weighs 180 to 220 pounds, and has reddish-brown hair. Despite their sorrow, the families still have moments of laughter, sharing memories of their girls.
Abigail had a real sweet tooth. She really liked candy, and she liked her candy, and she liked everybody else's candy.
We haven't messed with Libby's room much at all, other than going up there and cleaning up all the candy wrappers.
Yeah.
We got a whole trash can full of candy wrappers. So
Another shared interest.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
Grief, however, is what unites these two families now and forever.
There's a hole in our families and in our hearts that'll never be repaired.
Man. So before we jump into the whole timeline stuff, I want everybody to welcome CD, Analysis of a Crime, with our good friend here. CD, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Just making a
Ha-
coffee, but I'm here.
How you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. You okay with helping me kind of go over some of this timeline stuff?
100%. Yeah, all good.
Before we do that, anything you want to kind of address with the Barbara McDonald information or what your opinions are on all that?
Well, but Barbara putting that up and it being posted by the FBI, I just feel they're smarter to remove it than to make an edit. And that's what I'm taking it as, that they don't want to edit it because that could become a little bit more confusing. So removing height and weight altogether is just a smarter way to go about it.
Okay.
And I know I was in I think Gratz's live before, and I just gave a warning about tomorrow with Murder Sheet putting that out, that anybody who would be a little bit, if anybody, I guess to say like CSAM stuff, if it's going to hurt them, they shouldn't even listen to it. You know?
Yeah.
I think that's just a smart thing to address.
Yeah.
You know, that could cause more harm than good.
And I hope they're going to be careful.
Yeah, well, I think that's also why it's taken them 10, 11 days to plan out what they're going to address. Because, my opinion, I don't even think talking about the CSAM part, I don't see the benefit of it. You know, that's just my opinion. I think it's just, let that stay, idle until somebody's arrested.
Yeah, we all know what it means. We all know what took
Yeah.
place. What do
Yeah.
we?
I mean,
Why do we need the specifics on any of that?
that's just, they're going to do what they want, and that's totally fine. I get it. I mean, the man is a lawyer, so I think he's going to go through with a fine tooth comb and put out stuff that is okay to talk about. I don't think they're going to go over the line, but it's still something to say. Like, you know what, everybody, if you can't handle it, don't watch. It's not worth listening to it. Because he's a creep, and what they were doing, and I say they because as of now,
You
it's
think
really
there was more
pointing me.
involved? You think it was like a ring? Like, I
Yeah,
think it's a
yeah.
ring.
Remember the first live we were on when it first came out, and I said, once I saw Dropbox, and I said, this is going to turn into a Pandora's box.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you have file sharing, this could go, you're talking about it's worldwide at that point. You give somebody a sign and they could be anywhere.
But what kind of hurts my feelings about all this is that I feel like they're doing that at the behest of the girl's case. You know what I mean?
Who?
Law enforcement. They're saying, okay, like this is tied to something much bigger. So we're
Yes.
not gonna shut this down right now because we need it. It's gonna lead to something extremely much more incredible.
Yes.
But I just feel like
100%.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just being selfish and I just want
No,
them to
look,
get their justice.
I
But
don't
maybe
think you're
the
being
just
selfish at all.
maybe the
I just
justice
think,
is the big picture.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, from Barbara's interview with him, from the first affidavit that we saw, this is the first. Keegan's really implicating his father. But without saying it. But he's saying my dad had access. Blah blah blah. I feel his dad. First of all, Keegan is petrified of his father. Okay, Keegan's like he's the wuss of their operation. He was good at contacting, making the contact,
That's
and
it.
getting. You know what I'm saying? Anything else was Tony. That's my opinion. And his criminal history, beating up the woman, stalking an 11-year-old child with another man in the car. It's just bizarre. Who does this?
Yeah, man.
It's hard. Just think about the family of that 11-year-old. That's horrifying. But that just tells you that this man is capable of anything.
And
Anything.
you're referring to that evidence that just was brought up recently, right? Like some old
Well, it's from his
2005 case or something.
it's from his criminal history. Yeah, 2000. I think it was 2004 or 2005. Yep.
Okay. Just making sure.
And then 2006 was when he was doing the aggravated harassment over the phone. And the reason they found out is one of the women was somebody he previously dated. And she said to him, "Is this Tony Klein?" And he told her, "Yeah, it was." He goes, "Oh, maybe we should go on a date one time," while he's doing the nasty on the other end of the phone.
That's disgusting.
That's what I mean. This guy is a disturbing character. Disturbing. Keegan said he is capable of murder. He said it. So what does that tell you? And the alibi of, oh yeah, we watched a pay-per-view of wrestling. We talked about this last live. That was the night before.
Yeah, he's lying.
He sounds like he was giving Sunday's alibi for Monday. Because when do you visit your grandparents? You visit your grandparents on Sunday for a dinner or whatnot. I mean, yes, he was off Sunday, Monday. They could have been there Monday too, but it sounds like the alibi is using the Sunday's date. Whatever they did on Sunday. But yeah, we're definitely getting close. We've been on the right track for months. I wish when we spoke, remember I sent you Maxwell's search warrant, and I saw Peru, but we just didn't know who lived there. We didn't know anything about who was at the Peru. Who was at the Peru residence, or we would have been on it 3 months ago. I'm reading the chat to see what's here.
Yeah, me too.
Oh. But yeah, I mean, this is removing the stats on the height and weight. It's showing that they're getting somewhere. Keegan's transcript being typed up the end of February. What does it tell you? Does it tell you that there's possibly arrests coming and they're setting up the prosecution side with getting affidavits typed out?
Well, I always thought they were just making a deal. Like they're just trying to make a deal. I think maybe Keegan's like, that's not enough for me. I need you to give me, at least like 40 years or 30 years, and I'll give you everything. And they're just not willing to do that yet. But I think eventually they will, and then it'll be over.
Well, they hammered him with 30 felonies. And some of those are doubles of the other charge. So it shows you they're putting everything on his head and saying, like a squeeze play, give us, and we'll talk. They, give us and we'll give you, 10 years, 5 years. You know what I'm saying? But 30 felonies, how do you make 28 of them go away? You know what I mean? It would have to be giving bridge guy. That's the only way. You come out and tell us bridge guy, and you could do 10 years.
That's what they need to do.
Keegan also had no driver's license. He's never driven a vehicle in his life because of his seizures. He's on heavy seizure medication. So, I mean, has he ever driven without a license? That's highly possible. But he's never had a license. He's very high risk for seizures, and he's on medication, so they would never give him a license. So anywhere he goes, somebody's driving him.
Yeah, he does mention that, huh?
Yeah, he doesn't know how to. My opinion, he's never driven a car.
Wow.
He's not into racing like Daddy. There's just so much there. There's so much there to unpack with these two.
Well, you want to dive into it?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. I want to listen to this interview just up to a certain point. This is an interview with Mike and Becky Patty.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, they kind of give the breakdown. They kind of give an idea of when the girls were dropped off, when Derek shows up, when Derek called the girls and then called Becky.
Perfect.
But and then I also want to go through the timeline from the drop off to Abby's photo.
Yep.
To the encounter with Bridge Guy, to the down the hills, like we were just given that information. And then I want to talk about the missing time there, and then the point when we have witnesses like Cheyenne showing up around 3:15. So I'm going to go over all that kind of stuff. So let's play this first. Let me know if you guys can hear this. CD, you'll probably be able to hear it for sure, but chat, let me know if you hear this.
Libby, so maybe you could get a little feel for how she is.
Yeah.
She loved to have fun. She loved the world. Everything was an adventure to her. She liked helping people. She was kind, caring. She loved kids. She was wonderful with kids. She would have made an awesome teacher or something. She just had a very good outlook on life, one that I wish I had.
Right. Yeah, and everything I've seen and read about her, everyone seems to say is absolute sweetheart. Capable of pretty much anything. So, again, my condolences. We're going to do everything we can here and try to help bring some justice. Do you want to take us through that day? Just kind of the timeline of what you heard when and kind of how that all unfolded.
Well, as you know, Abby had spent the night before. They had slept in a little bit. They didn't have school on Monday because it was a snow makeup day. And they had slept in because they had been up late through the night, as girls will do. They had Derek got up and made them pancakes for breakfast about 10 o'clock or so. And they were piddling around here. And Libby wanted to do something, but I told her that I was working and I couldn't do anything right then, but if she would help file some files for me, that we would do something later. So that's what they were doing. Was she was fiddling as much as she was filing. She came in and we had just gotten a new puppy, and she was sitting on the floor playing with the puppy and stuff. And Kelsey came in. It was probably close to 1 maybe, and said, "Hey, I'm going to my boyfriend's house before I go to work." And Libby jumped up and said, "Hey, if you're going to go to town, could you take us to the trails?" So she asked me if it was okay if they went. And I said, "Well, I don't have time to come and pick you up when you're done. So you're going to have to get a ride home." So they ran in the house and she came out and I said, do you have a ride home? And she said, yes. So they left. It was probably around 1:30, and Kelsey took them in, and she called Derek. He had left probably 20 minutes or so before the girls did to go take some pictures that I had lost, to retake some pictures for me. And he was going to Frankfurt, which is probably a 40-minute drive from here. He was going to spend half an hour taking pictures and come back. So we knew that when they went, it would be an hour and a half, and he would pick them up on his way back through. So he had called the girls, and Libby didn't answer. And he called me about 3:30 and said, hey, Libby's not answering. I'm not getting a hold of her. Will you try to get a hold of her? So my daughter, Tara, she works here with me. And so both of us started calling, texting, FaceTiming, all the different things that you do. And at first we were getting it was ringing, then going to voicemail, and then later it just was going directly to voicemail. So it was probably getting close to 4 o'clock, and we decided, oh, it's been half an hour, she's not answering. And that's not Libby, because she has her phone on her hip all the time. So we knew that something just wasn't right. So we decided, okay, we're going to go to the trails. We're going to go and look for her. So Tara went ahead and left. I came in to let the dogs out before I left. And as I was leaving, I called Mike. He was at work in Lafayette.
Okay, so let's stop right there for a second. So she said the girls were dropped off at 1:30, right?
Yes.
Okay. So from 1:30
to 2:07.
To 2:07, there seems to be some missing time.
And what did I think Randy Gravitz addressed, that it takes 8 minutes or 9 minutes to get from the trailhead to the bridge?
Mm-hmm.
So that puts you at about 2:41. If they're, we just don't know how many pictures they stopped and took on the trail itself to get out onto the bridge.
So this
but
is
still
be
40 was it 37 minutes? It's a long time.
Well, I want you to pay attention to the entirety of that bridge behind Abby.
Yeah.
So law enforcement tells us that was it's our understanding that was taken at 2:07, or at least uploaded, right? So we don't know if it was taken.
Yeah.
We don't know if it was taken at that. We can assume that, though. Do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Okay. So if we're to believe that bridge guy shows up not only right past where she's at now, but all the way towards the southeast end of the bridge, just a few seconds after that, I mean, that can't be correct, right? This cannot be.
Tough.
So this cannot have been uploaded at 2:07. It's not possible, factually.
My question with even Snapchat, say you take the picture and you save it as a draft. Does anybody know, does it timestamp, or would it only timestamp if you upload it? That's what we just don't know. Did she take it at 1:50, 1:58, and then 9 minutes later upload it? I just don't know. Yeah.
Did she mess with it for a minute or two?
Yeah, do a little quick edit. Yeah, I mean it's. I mean, if you think about 37 minutes and it only takes 8 or 9 to get there, it's a lot of time in between. What were they doing?
So let's take a look at another video here. I actually made this video not too long ago.
Oh, and also we know that, let's address how law enforcement presses, he tells HLN, they told me I was the last person to talk to her on the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
People are saying LE would lie. But think about that. Break that down for a second. If Keegan's sitting across from law enforcement and he knows internally that he didn't talk to her on the 13th, then the interrogation means nothing. They can't, there's things you could lie on, but coming out right and saying, we know you talked to her and you were the last person to talk to her on February 13th. If you lie there and it's not true, that interrogation in his head, Huh?
But what's the entirety of the sentence? Does he say, does he begin the sentence with,
Oh, let me see. I have it.
I know you
I have
created
it.
the Anthony Schatz profile. So he kind of ties him in that way. Maybe that's like the way he kind of avoids what you're saying. Or
Yeah.
even at the end of the sentence, he's like, well, you created the Anthony Schatz, right? Well, we know for a fact that Anthony Schatz did speak to the girls. So it's kind of like they're just trying to connect him to the Anthony Schatz 100% or get him to kind of fold and be like, well, no, my dad uses it all the time and we do creepy shit on our phone. That's what they're trying to get him to say, and he just won't.
And
do
and
it.
he also I'm just looking at it, and he keeps bringing up they have my GPS for the whole day. Like he's talking about how his phone is showing at his house the whole day. But as you said, remember one of your first videos that's how I met you, was the video you did about the burner phone.
Mhm.
Was there a burner phone that they never got? It's highly likely.
Yeah, because
Was that destroyed in the Vegas desert?
Yeah, or hand it off to somebody.
Yeah.
You could upload all kinds of information, just hand it off.
It's very true. It's very true.
Okay, so we have 207 is when Abby uploads that snap image. We don't know when it was taken. We know it was most likely from that day, based off the sweater, of course. But let's take a look at this. This would be just a few seconds after, if it was loaded at that time. So,
yeah.
"43 seconds from that point, from 2:13. There's 43 seconds of him kind of walking that way. So he's talking to him there, giving them the ruse,
Yep.
misleading them. And then there's a reason I think he sends them down the hill. There's somebody down there waiting for him.
Oh, I agree.
Anthony Schatz, or somebody that they're expecting to meet.
But my question here is, right, they have the 43 seconds of audio, right?
Yeah.
Would they hold back a piece of another, from what they've said that this is all they have of him speaking, but are they holding back that he's down the hill? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so.
Does law enforcement not want to put out there that there could be somebody else because they don't know?
Well, the reason I think that is because the family who has basically said, yeah, we heard, a lot of the audio. If you listen to their interpretation, or they explain their experience with the audio, it's completely different. They don't say that the audio says the same thing. They have two different stories. So I wonder if law enforcement was like, just do your best not to kind of give that information out. So that's them like not giving it out,
Yeah. But you know what? That's also, if you listen, like, we knew by Sergeant Riley talking that there was more than what they had, because he says, when in HLN, it's episode 4 of the podcast, he says, when I listened to one of the girls after the guys down the hill and that, the fear, and he said, I'm not going to say which girl was in fear, but hearing that is scary. It's horrifying. Like, he's describing it, and he's like, it's terrible, but we can't always be there for our children. He's just describing that moment of the fear in one of them. That's what I'm saying. Like, when we look at BG, and I know people, like, they have to understand he's closing in for the kill. That's what's next. It's horrifying. It really is. It's horrifying. That's why Tobe on the 14th, he's there to lead them to their deaths, in a sense. That's what's happening. That's why on the 14th, people criticize Tobe. That guy is sitting at that table when they're, talking about they found 2 bodies. They wouldn't get into anything. He's speechless because of where he just came from. He just came from the crime scene. It's not him being, he's being shady. No, this man saw 2 murdered girls and has to sit there and not give any information on it. We're humans. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about kids. Seeing what they saw, it's traumatizing. It is.
And they can't ignore
afterwards,
it. They have to look at it.
Yeah. Afterwards, it's like you pack it away, if that makes sense to you. It's like you have a folder in your head and you got to just pack it away for now, and you got to do your job. But it's something that when you're home and you're alone, you think about it. You remember what you saw. It's something that you're never going to not see it in your head, you know? So it's tough. Tobe's he's gotten a bad rap. He did make a mistake by calling off the search, but they only had one murder in Delphi in 30 years. Abby and Libby were 2 and 3. So in his eyes, he's like, listen, maybe they went to the movies. It gets out. It was like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. It goes, the movie gets out in 30 minutes. He had hope. You can't, he tried to have some hope. This is just something that didn't happen in Delphi. It's tough, man. Everybody just got to understand that when you see that man walking on the bridge and it's slow mo and it's just a 1 second clip or whatever it is, this man is moving in to get these girls to the kill zone, and it's horrifying.
And they were successful.
Yeah.
So far.
Oh, so I like that comment Stephanie has. I was looking up YouTube videos on catfishing, and there's a guy, he's got like 6 million followers. Do you ever see where he did like 3 different children, but he set it up with the parents? Where he does a catfishing, he speaks to them for a few days, and he gets the girls when the parents aren't home to go out and meet him at the park.
Oh,
but the parents are in on it. Let me tell you, man. I mean, you just see one of the girls. He only spoke to this girl for 3 days, and was able to get her to walk out of her house when her parents weren't home and head to a local park. And she got startled when she saw the man at the bench, that he wasn't a 14, 15-year-old kid. He was a 30-year-old adult. And then the father comes out and flips out on her. I mean, that's a pretty cool clip. If you wanted to show it, it's only like 6 minutes long, but it's very interesting.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of them. He actually just pulls up to some younger kids. He doesn't have to do any catfishing or ruse. He just pulls up and says, "Hey, you guys want to see these puppies? Hey, let's go for a ride with the puppies." And the mom's just like, "Oh my God, I cannot believe you're getting in the car."
One of them was like one of those white shady vans, and the girl was coming out of the house to get in the van, and the parents were behind her in the back seat of the van, and they put a thing over her head to scare the shit out of her. And then the father says, "It's your father and mother." But that just shows you, it's like, people, everybody that's listening to us, you got to talk to your kids about social media. You can't, whatever age you feel is appropriate, that's up to you. But you can't not address what happens online. There's too much going on every day. These people are professional predators, and they're looking at, get pictures, you don't know what they're looking for, but you got to address it because it's happening every day. It's sad. I mean, my daughter's 10 and she knows, because you have to let them know what a consequence is of meeting a stranger online. Like my kids play, I don't know if your kids play Roblox. Do you know Roblox?
Yeah, she's outgrown it now.
Yeah, well, they play it, but I don't. My son's 6, and he'll go, "Daddy, come look at this." And there's like a person, like an avatar, standing right next to him, not moving, and like bumping him to make conversation. It's bizarre. You don't know how old that person. You don't know if that's another kid or if it's an adult, but you could see how weird they are as he's walking, playing the game. This person's following, trying to make conversation. It's very weird.
It's creepy.
It's creepy. It is. But
talk about cyber stalking.
Yeah, this is real life. People got to understand. I know there's some people that are into this case, but they got to realize this is real. This is as real as it gets. These girls were murdered, and they knew it was coming. The way Sergeant Riley says that, and how he says it affected me for months. This is a 25-year veteran of the Indiana State Police. He's seen many homicides, but he said this, hearing that audio affected him for months. So that's why Tobe acts all weird. You got to understand, he was speechless. Like, remember they brought up Sugar Creek? Because Sergeant Riley just got there because he's he was the public information officer. He just got there.
There was a missing person as well.
There was that's right. They had the Amber Alert on the missing person the night before. He's just getting the details as he's getting there. But Tobe was a stone rock. He could not.
No,
speak.
I mean, there was another case of a missing person at Sugar Creek.
Yeah.
At Sugar Creek.
Oh, that's what. Oh, that's it. Was it? Okay, so that's why he got that confused. I just thought he just got the creeks confused because he's
No.
just getting there, and people got to remember this was Carroll County's case. They're the lead. What's his name? Doug Carter addressed that in his interview with News Nation. That he goes, I wish I could say we. He goes, it's it's Tobe, the sheriff's office. Then he named his men all the way down to the U.S. Marshals, which I found very interesting. So,
Well, before we get too far off the timeline,
yeah, go ahead.
let's
That's
get back
fine.
on here.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Okay. So I want your opinion on this. This is so if down the hill was at 2:15, that means there's
Yeah.
missing time between about 2:20 and 3 p.m.
Was it 2:13? I thought it was 6 minutes later.
What?
I thought 6 minutes after 2:07 was the encounter with BG. Started at 2:13.
Yeah, that's why I said about 2:20 there.
Oh, okay.
So anywhere between 2:20 and 3 o'clock, and right about this time, in between 3 and 3:15, we have Cheyenne. She begins to take these photos here.
Yes, I saw. They were dissecting these. I think it was Randy Gravitz, right?
Mm-hmm. She took 2 photos. There's one, and here's the second one. So I believe she uploaded these when she got back to her car. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe she had a digital camera. Not sure.
Yeah, that's possible.
But so
I don't know.
if
I mean,
she's-
I don't know. That might be a phone camera because look. I mean, I think a digital camera would take a better pic than that. Look at that thing. Like just the
this could
tree
be
branches.
this is pretty regurgitated, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah, it could get stomped on over and over again.
So what's going on at 2:20 to 3 p.m.? Because she would have heard something if she was there any sooner. She would have heard them talking at the end of the bridge.
True.
So I mean, I just don't understand. They weren't that far from the bridge. Why weren't they heard?
I think they were duct taped, Sleuth.
You think? Oh
Yeah,
my God.
I do.
I didn't even
I
think
do.
about that.
No, I do. The last week I really started to break down, what happens after that encounter. Why the creek? Why they crossed the creek? Why Libby's shoe is off. I really, we'll get into that as you go further along, but I really wanted to analyze that and give my best perspective at the why. Yes, there were some people out there. There are people on the trail. 2 girls are about to be abducted and murdered. They're going to try and scream, aren't they?
Yeah.
I don't care
right
what
away.
kind of weapon that person has. One of them is going to let out a scream. There was nothing. So to me, they were under control and duct taped, which is horrible to think about, but we got to be real at what happened. We got to analyze it in a true fashion. And that's, if you think about any kidnapping, what's the first thing they do? They gain control of them and they tape their mouth.
Secondary location.
Yeah. Well, if we think about it, there was a secondary location. Started on the bridge. They ended up 3/4 of a mile across the creek, 52 feet up from the bed.
Yeah, you don't ever go to a secondary. Every time I listen to law enforcement and watch these true crime videos,
you
never go to
the
the
death.
secondary. Never
You
go to
fight
the
to the
secondary.
death. You fight to the death right
You hear
there.
that, ladies?
You're
never
listen,
go
they were on a
to
bridge.
secondary location.
They were on a bridge with this man. You fucking jump into him and knock him off the bridge. Save one of your friends. They're kids.
Scream, kick,
This
claw.
was a horrifying encounter for a 13-year-old and 14. Libby turned 14, so 14.
They
and
had no
13-year-old.
idea what was waiting for them.
No.
Not one clue.
They knew as that audio progressed at what was happening. Because I'll send you that clip of Riley. And when you just listen to a guy with 20 plus years on, how he describes that audio clip, it tells you how horrific this was. It does. Because, it sucks, but as a cop, you have to desensitize yourself from that case because you want to have a successful arrest and conviction. You're feeling it the whole time, but you got to put those feelings aside and you got to work on Abby and Libby. I'm going to get them justice. That's what you got to do. That's just the way it is. I mean, I told you about that toddler, that case I was on, where it was just the mother and the boyfriend in that apartment room, and one of them murdered the kid, and she tried to push it on the boyfriend. And, you know, as a cop, as the years go on, you read behavior. You saw how guilty she was. And this guy, she wasn't crying. Her kid was dead. Her kid was slammed into a concrete wall in this apartment 3 or 4 times. You know, kind of like, you know, the Bob Saget thing, that's the trauma this toddler had to her head. And there was no emotion from the mother. And he said, you know, I heard it from the other room. I heard thumps, but I didn't think anything of it. Why would I hurt her child? I don't even know her child. It's because the child woke up from a nap while she's trying to get busy, and she went in there and shook the shit out of her into the wall. But that's the whole thing.
Probably too. Drugs.
I don't think she was under drugs. They were drinking a little bit, but she, you know, it wasn't, from what the family said, it wasn't the first time that the child had marks on her and whatnot, and they could have saved that child. And that's the whole thing. You see something, you don't wait till it ends up, you know, as a family member. If one of your nieces, nephews, any of your family members, you see marks on them, you question it. You can't let it go, because I saw that. I was the one that put the cuffs on her, Sleuth. She was about to get out of this country. You know, even though she murdered her kid, the family was still trying to get her out of the country. You know, and we got to that house, they were hiding her. They weren't letting us in, and we took that. Let me tell you something. We took that door off the fucking hinges, buddy. And dude, they were hiding her in her closet. You know, that's how sick. Like, your grandchild, and the mother was against it, but the father was trying to, you know, he was trying to get his daughter out of the country. You know, that's what he was trying to do.
She got it from somewhere.
Yeah, she got it from somewhere. But let me tell you something. Putting those handcuffs on her, Sleuth, I felt vindication for that child that lost her life, that didn't even get to live past 18 months. And it bothers me because that's, my son's turning 18 months this month. And to think a parent could do that, you know what that takes to do, Sleuth? Like, to just think, you have kids, like my kid gets hurt and it hurts me. You know, they fall down and scrape their knee. It bothers me.
I never let that happen.
You
know how many times I caught my child from just before busting their head? Like, I was paranoid constantly.
When they're toddlers and they're jumping on the couch, and you know, like,
nope,
oh shit, they're gonna fall.
Yep.
You dive. Yeah, you dive to save your child, but you'll get them and let them land on you. You know?
Well, it's because I would have friends that would show up, and their kids their toddlers would be missing teeth, and I'd be like, well, what happened? Oh, they were jumping on the couch and flipped over the edge. I'm like,
lands on the coffee table. Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, and the mother told us, you know, that's my point. Is the mother said, I knew that she might have been abusing her, and I have to live in regret the rest of my life that I didn't save my grandchild. You know, and she was hysterical, and you saw it. And 9 people lived in that house, and 8 of them worked to get her out and try and save her and get her to the country she was from, which is sick to me. But we got her, man. And let me tell you, that was one of the arrests that made, you know, like the that pit in your stomach where it just is, it's eating you. But when those cuffs clanked on, you hear when they rattle on, felt amazing, man. It really did. And I told her, you're a piece of shit. Hurt your fucking kid, man. Yeah, I did. You're a piece of shit. And I tell you, shit, even being arrested, so there was no emotion.
Did you have to go to court and see her again?
No, she pled out. She pled guilty. She pled out. You know, she only got, and let me tell you something, she only got a few years and was deported because she wasn't here legally. You know, but that's our criminal justice system, how there's so much flaws, especially when it comes to people that are here illegally. This was a murder. She murdered her child and did, I think it was 3 years, and was deported out of this country. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with America when you think about that? She should have got life. Rot in a cell forever. I don't care if you're from another country. You murdered your kid on our soil, you stay here and you rot. Not, go back to, you know, your island where you're from, and now you're a free bird to do this possibly again to another child. Disturbing.
Mm-hmm. Take a look at this here.
What do you got? Oh, I know. I saw that picture. I know, man. I know. It is. I mean, he's just a little fatter. Just even the lines next to his cheeks. It's such a match. The chin, ears. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Chin, huh?
And Tony Klein 5 years ago looked a lot younger than he does today. People got to understand that he did look younger 5 years ago. So that I'm telling you right now, I believe 100% Tony Klein was there on the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
At the least, he was at the murders. At the least, if not, he is the murderer. That's where I'm going, and I believe Keegan was there. But Keegan, I don't know. I don't even watching him with HLN. Yes,
I don't think he was there. I don't think he was. Mm-mm. I think he set it all up. He made it possible, and he's just kind of maybe even an accessory after the fact.
Oh, well, we know. I mean, I believe he's Daddy's alibi. He is Daddy's alibi.
Because
Going with the Sunday's
his mother
timeline.
is living. If he knows that his father's capable of murdering, all he has to say is, "I'll kill your mother, or I'll hurt this person, or I can get to you in prison."
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. I actually did digging about right around when this came out. I found the mom. The mom is remarried and has the stepfather works at like a pig farm in Indiana, slaughtering pigs.
Mm-hmm.
Like Packers. These places love to slaughter pigs, man. But no, I'm not saying that the stepfather's involved at all. Not at all. I believe that man right there on your screen was there.
No, but the stepfather having skills that he could potentially pass on to Keegan means something.
Well, yeah, because Keegan, I believe, lived there prior to living with the girlfriend. Because he did live with the girlfriend when he was arrested, which I find amazing. I would really like to see who she is and interview that girl, because
right?
I mean, really,
She's probably got a different name by now.
I don't know, but I really think that we are getting close. I do, and I know that murder sheets documents coming out tomorrow. Why was that published for 60 minutes or less for attorneys to grab? That's a huge question. So, I mean, what do you think was the reason that somebody? What happens is, I know what happens. What happens is the prosecutor's office will upload to that site, right?
Yeah.
And now the court clerk from that county has to go in and and basically put it on the docket there. So who the hell from the clerk's office uploaded that?
Sending emails
is
to
is it a
different
clerical
people?
error? It's possible it's a clerical error, but when you think about a clerical error, you would have one, not two documents. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which is it's just a little strange that they were dropped out there into the world for us to get our eyes on.
I wonder if somebody had a connection with maybe a clerk, or even somebody who had access to those systems, and they were like, "Okay, I'm going to make it available from this time to this time," and then.
Well, if we think about that, right? Let's bring up this perspective. Remember, now listen, I'm not big on the whole leaker theory at all. I'm just not. But do you remember how the person that was under leaker was typing on Facebook, and then that man with his own Facebook basically answered a question with the same verbiage typage, right?
Slipped up.
Yes. His wife is a clerk somewhere. I don't know where, but she's a clerk. She's a court clerk somewhere. I would love to know if that woman is a court clerk in Miami County, because that would be mega, like, whoa. You know what I'm saying?
Because that could be a crime.
Oh, absolutely. Well, does anybody in the chat remember his name? The man that wrote under leakers' Facebook messages that night, as he was basically answering the question.
He was in my Facebook group, but I can't remember his name. I didn't pay him any attention.
I'm sure I might even have a picture of it somewhere. Oh, Wampler. I think that's it. Joe David Troy. Tony N said Joe David Wampler. Tony, does anybody from Indiana know where the wife is a clerk? Because I know she's a court clerk somewhere. Because imagine she's in Miami County as a court clerk. That would be
That'd be
suspect number
suspicious.
one.
Yeah, super
that would be
suspicious.
suspect number one.
Sus.
Who's dropping the files online to be downloaded for
Exactly.
60 minutes?
Because
I could
people
only
want this
imagine.
information. You can get paid.
Oh,
She
Tony,
could've
she
gotten
passed
paid.
away. So I take that back. If she passed away, I'm sorry that the woman passed away.
Yikes.
I'm
Yeah, sorry to hear
I
that.
was only tying it together because I know she was a court clerk somewhere. That's terrible. I'm
Redacted.
sorry that she's
Redacted.
yes. Let her rest in peace. I just knew that she had a connection as a court clerk somewhere. I didn't know where. So let that poor woman rest in peace. That's terrible. Yeah, Tony, she was that's from, I was told that day she was a court clerk at a courthouse. I didn't know where. So could, somebody in Miami County uploaded these 2 documents. And I can only imagine the prosecutor's office, like somebody's in there and looking, the oh shit factor of seeing that those were published publicly. Could only imagine how that set the fucking alarm bells that went off at that point. Like, why? And I think we got to try and work it out and correct how we say Keegan's name, because the father,
Kagan.
they said is Kagan, which is such a I never heard that way of being, just doesn't even feel right. But I guess we got to try and say his name correctly. It's Kagan. Kagan Klein, the sloth.
Do we though?
No. It reminds me of, remember the guy in 7 that the guy made him eat himself to death?
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of that.
That movie is so awesome.
It's such. Let me tell you that movie will stand the test of time. It is such a classic, and let me tell you, it's so real. At even crime scene investigation back in the 90s, it's how I was taught in 2001 in the police academy, NYPD. It's so real. They did such a job with that movie.
Yeah, I would have done the same thing Brad Pitt did at the end as well. I hate to say it,
man.
I hate to say it.
Yeah, no, that was. Let me tell you, what a movie. What's in the box? I mean, it's just a line that you'll never forget.
Yeah.
But it was Kevin Spacey, right? Kevin Spacey.
Mm-hmm.
What a great
Kevin Spacey. Yeah. Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. What a classic. And it just shows you how disturbing a murderer is. And he played games with them. And serial killers, we've seen it in the past. They do play games. What I watched a couple weeks ago. I watched that Canadian. What was he? He was in the military in Canada. He was right below a general. You ever see that guy? He murdered 2 women, and his whole interrogation is on YouTube.
Oh,
you can watch it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about. Russ.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you just hey, let me tell you something. That guy who interrogated him was phenomenal. Down to him never recognizing him in that room as a guy who's an officer in the military. Oh, call me Russ. That's all he called him. He gave that man no power, 0. It was
Mary
one.
says he was a colonel.
Colonel, yes, that was one of the best interrogations I've watched. That man was surgical in his questioning. He led Russ. He made Russ believe he brought him in on a Sunday so that nobody would be paying attention. Like that guy, Russ, was eating out of his hand. And then the car came up and the tires and the width and how perfect they fit his car. That man knew his world just crumbled like a cookie. Done. It's just amazing when you could see a guy who was phenomenal interrogating somebody. Then you have some where they have no business in even interviewing people, let alone interrogating people. But sometimes politics come into play, my man.
They get pushy.
Well, no, it's not even that they get. Well, there's always the good cop, bad cop theory. It happens often. It happens every day in some places. But sometimes you have to feel out. You have to know the person you're interrogating before they come in the room. You have to know that if you push too hard, you're going to close that person down and get nothing, and they're going to lawyer up. So it's basically like a give and take. You have to know the kind of mentality of the person that's crossing.
It's psychology. You got to get
100%.
them not to say. It seems like you got to get them
100%.
somehow not to say, "I want a lawyer." You almost want to kind of poke at their pride a little bit.
Yeah. Like, everything's, you go into an interview and everything's recorded. So when I was a rookie, I would go into the detectives division when they were interrogating somebody I arrested, like in NYPD, you interview your person when you're making the arrest. But if it's a felony, we had a hate crime where 5 kids beat up this one kid, and I would just go in the back and watch, and just seeing the difference. You take that and you grow from it and you use it, because you see some guys are like, fuck, I'd never do what that guy's doing, because you just see you come in and just start attacking the person, it's over. You're getting nothing from him. You got a but you want a water, a cigarette, have a cigarette. Let me
Lower the
take your
guard.
cuffs off. Oh yeah, let me take the cuff. When you got a serious crime, first of all, your gun is packed away. It's locked up. As soon as you're going interrogation room, there's no firearms in there. There's nothing. And you always have guys outside that you can't see them out there, but they're ready to go if there's a fight. But you got a serious criminal there. You want to make him feel comfortable. Oh, let's take your cuffs off. You're not going to hurt me. It's a strategy, and if you use that strategy well, they'll never ask for an attorney. They'll eat out of your hand and you'll get what you want, But the ones that go in there and are like, oh, fuck, you did. If you break them before you even talk to them, you're not getting anywhere. Yeah, Sleuth, let me tell you, Sleuth was great with some of the interview he did with JP. He was excellent. I told him that night that he interviewed him like a cop would. He did a great job. You let him talk. You let him lead where you were going, even the questions you want to ask. And I'm happy that man's getting help. You did a good job. You helped
He took
him.
me
You
on a
helped
ride.
him to get a better
I went on
person.
the ride. I just went on the
Hey,
ride with him.
At the end of the day, nobody could fault you because he led you to believe that he was there. He was incriminating himself as possibly being BG. So
We're
anybody
just
that faults you,
confused.
yeah,
He may
anybody,
have believed it.
I was in a dream state. Like he, was he mentally playing with you? We don't know,
Yeah,
but you
who
did the
knows?
right thing. You interviewed him excellent. You helped
It
him get help.
reminded me of a false confession too. So that's a great
Yeah.
topic,
Oh yeah,
mental health and
absolutely.
false confessions.
100%. And that's one of the, if you think about Delphi and what Ellie has said from the beginning and why they're not releasing too much is because they don't want false confessions, and like we talked about last live, I do, same thing as you. I think the DNA is what is holding up the arrest here, because our
Thanks,
DNA,
Melissa.
everybody's individual DNA, it's broken down to the 1% of your DNA that makes you a separate person from somebody else's, makeup. So even with the partial DNA,
And they can still tell how you're separated, even with that
oh yeah,
small.
absolutely,
Yeah, they can. Yeah,
and
is it
if
a
they say,
father? Is it a mother? Is it a
yeah,
brother? Yeah, they
yeah,
know.
so say let's say they have Kagan's or Tony's partial DNA, and that's what's holding them up, and they don't have the full, DNA characteristics or the whole makeup. I don't think they would make the arrest on that because of this case. You have a double murder. This isn't a, not that any other crime is lesser, but this is a double murder. You want to be positive that it's not going to go to trial and the defense attorney be able to put a DNA guy up there and rip that apart. You know what I mean?
I think there's more bodies.
What do you mean?
I don't think this is the first time.
Oh, it's highly possible. Highly possible,
What scares me is
highly,
behind the Klein house, it's a huge canal.
yeah. Yeah, maybe we should do some digging and see, how many missing people, say even over the last 15 years, how many people from Delphi and say a 40-mile radius, how many people are missing were never found?
And it looks like
That's
they've been digging in their backyard. If you look at the Google, all the
yeah.
yards are nice except for theirs in the backyard in the back corner. It looks dug up.
Yeah. Hey, remember what's his name? The serial killer. He put all the people under his front porch. He was
Yeah,
digging in and just burying people. He had a fucking graveyard in his front lawn.
because what's the
Nobody
difference if you catch him?
nobody
If you
nobody
catch
was
him,
suspicious. I mean,
yeah.
nobody's suspicious. Man's using a shovel constantly. I mean,
And what difference
Jesus.
does it make if you put all your
Yeah,
bodies in your house? Because if you get caught, you get caught. You're almost like you are
absolutely.
your house. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's like
100%. Listen, they did that with what's that crazy case from that woman that went to Hawaii with the religious guy. They're basically like the two of them are like in their own cult, and he murdered her son, her daughter, the 15-year-old daughter, and the the son who had disability, and he buried them in his yard.
Oh man.
You know the case. I forget the woman. Somebody in chat knows the woman's name. If you ever saw it, I think it might have been Inside Edition or somebody found out that they were in Hawaii, and they went to Hawaii asking her, "Where are your kids?" Because she told law enforcement that her kids were staying with a friend, and it wasn't true. So they were onto her, but he buried them in like a circular. I want to say it was a fire pit or something, and he taped them up and murdered them and put them in garbage bags and buried them.
Oh man.
Yeah, dude, it's disturbing when you think about how disturbing some of these people are. Even the kid. What's the other the double murder now that's out in the desert over there, Moab. The two women that were married.
Dude, that one's horrible.
Did you see what came out in the? I guess I think it was the last 48 hours. That's when I saw it.
They're getting close. You heard news?
They were well, no, not that anybody was arrested, but about the scene that they were both stripped down. They were loaded with bullets. And
was there anything strange with the shell casings, like silver bullets or something like that? Silver shell casings?
I didn't see that, but I mean, if you're talking about maybe strange, maybe this person makes their own rounds. That's a possibility.
Well, there was a robbery and somebody did make their own. Apparently, they made their own rounds, and I heard they were tied. And they may have the suspect that committed the robbery, but I didn't follow it up. I don't know enough about the case.
Well, this case, I think it's worth it, to both of us put some time in and talk about it because it's tragic. When you think about, and these girls that morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, they met a friend who rented a car and she was going to travel. So they met at a gas station, and she's positive the last known time that these two girls were seen was 9 a.m. at that gas station.
It seems solvable.
Oh, it does, absolutely. Well, the two girls told the friend that they were going to go back to their campsite now that it was daytime and pack up because they had the encounter with that nut the night before. And he basically told, from what it sounds like, is that he was fighting with his own demons and told them the night before, "This is my space. You need to get out of here." Like, I don't know if it was a warning or what it was, but these two girls ended up murdered. And the father phoned the friend that she drove around for 5 hours and finally found the campsite and the bodies. And her interview is online and on YouTube.
I saw that interview.
Yeah,
it was horrible.
I mean, imagine that she had to do that, and then she had to call the dad back
Sean
to
Paul.
tell him, that she found the girls dead. That's horrible. Wow. But I mean, what a good friend to drive around for that long, trying to help and
Well,
trying
she
to
knew.
see where
She
they were.
had that gut feeling. She knew something was wrong.
Yeah. I mean, listen, most of the time when you talk to somebody in any kind of case like this, if somebody's a parent, even if it's not their child and they're helping, you always get that feeling like, I know something's really wrong. I got to keep going. And she did. She kept driving around. But my question is, if she was able to find it, why the hell wasn't law enforcement out there able to find that campsite? Why didn't they have a drone in the air and locate the car? It just seems like they didn't put enough time into locating these two girls, which is sad. Very sad.
Hindsight.
Logan Maxwell's family is at Bicycle Bridge Road. At the time, he did not live there, but he did have supposedly computers that were there, and that's why they went to that house for the search warrant.
I believe a family member also seen him walking on the railroad tracks.
Yes,
and
Tara German.
That's what sparked the search warrant.
Yes, Tara German saw him and a friend, and that's that post. Remember, I gave you the post from 4chan where the friend goes into what law enforcement did to them at the house.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
it was interesting.
Picture. It was very interesting. He was basically bashing the cops for going to all the gas stations where young kids hang out and questioning if they saw anything with Libby and Abby. And that's ridiculous because that's actually what you would do. Young kids talk.
Yeah, they do.
It's like it ends up being like the game of telephone when you finally get somebody to tell you what the hell's going on. But then you're able to revert back and back up. Who told you? Who told you? Who told you? And then you get what was the first person told the other person. So that he just misunderstands what law enforcement does. When there's something with young kids, you're gonna want to talk to every young kid in the area.
Yeah,
because they are chatterboxes. We know this.
And young kids are capable of murder as well.
100%. Look at the shooter from the Florida school. Look how fucked up that kid was. Nobody knew
Mean,
like how
mean girls.
oh, I mean, that's the worst. Well, look, you saw the case, what was it, 2 weeks ago in Indiana? The two girls had the other, what were they, 12, 13 years old? Had one friend sleep over at the house and they beat the shit out of her. It was all planned. They wanted her to
There
come
was
have a
a.
sleepover.
Did you hear about the what the hell's his name? Slender Man killings where they tried to kill their
Yes.
friend. I think she survived
Yes.
though.
Yeah, she did survive in the woods,
Yeah.
right? They
What a
took her in
what
the
a
woods.
soldier. Yeah,
Oof.
she's a fighter. Man, what a tough kid. That girl is
Tough
tough.
kid, man. Listen,
Man.
you know what?
Yeah, it doesn't come any tougher than that.
She
I don't
fought
care
for
what
her
you say.
life, man.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
she
12
fought.
hours I think she was out there.
Yep.
Man.
It
They couldn't kill
when
her.
you even when you think about even a child, it doesn't matter how old they are. You have a will to live. You're going to fight.
Yeah, she was not dying.
It's terrible that Abby and Libby didn't get a chance. They didn't get a chance. I think we have echo.
But they weren't facing two young girls. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. No. I mean, look at the man there. We're staring at.
Yeah, they
Now, so, you know what I
had
wanna
a
ask you?
different monster.
Do you hear an echo?
No, I don't.
I hear myself repeating. But if you look at DG's right side of his body, I know we think there could be his sweatshirt hanging out from the jacket, but do you feel there's something leather there?
No, I think it's a play from color. I think this jacket is black, is more of a black.
Yeah,
And I think this is actually a blackish brown. I don't know if you're familiar with that type of color. But what's happening is all this light is hitting it, and I think this is more of the true color here.
Because the only reason I'm saying that is I've been, as I told you, the last couple weeks I've been really breaking down what happened after the video was done. What happens to the girls next. And, I know people said, oh, it's a deer kit, it's this. If it's leather, it fits perfectly to a hatchet holster. I don't know if you've ever seen the smaller hatchets, and they have this holster.
I have
where
a couple.
you wouldn't even you wouldn't even see the handle if it's hanging down by his right side, but you would just see the holster. Because I just go back to everything law enforcement described, horrific. This is evil, blah blah blah. I feel it was a heavier bladed weapon, machete. As I said, a hatchet. And the reason I say hatchet also is how hard they went after Daniel Nations. He had that encounter on the trails. He threatened the two girls with the hatchet, and Indiana wanted to talk to him. So that's why I feel that. Yes, he encountered two girls. I feel the hatchet was more important than anything in that case.
I think it had to do with the wounds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I've looked in.
A knife you're capable of murder with a knife, but I feel it was something that
I thought a sword
had a heavy
too.
blade. Yeah.
Something-
Could be a
it
small
would've been
katana.
Yeah, a little sword. Because if these knuckleheads they seem like they think they're young kids. Like Tony seems, that seems like something you would see on his mantle. Some stupid ass sword,
Yeah. True.
something like that.
True. And what I did? I also remember we were talking about the dog a lot, and people were saying, "Oh, was the dog malnourished?" Blah blah blah. I went back a few years from the pictures he posted about the dog. That pit bull was very healthy.
What if it was for Bridge Guy? What if Bridge Guy's hanging out over at Tony's house? He has no
people are
criminal
saying,
record, but he
so
has
I'm gonna
dog hair.
hang up and call right back because the echo's getting worse and they're saying it too.
Okay,
I'm gonna call you right back.
sure. Oh, you know why? I know why he's echoing. He has his YouTube probably somewhat turned up. Oh, there he is.
How's that? Oh,
I
much
mean,
better.
you've always sounded good to me, so you have to
Yeah,
ask the
for
chat.
some reason, even when there's an echo, I think because me and you are fully connected, I don't think we would
I
hear
think
each
I
other
know
echo.
why. I think,
Huh.
do you have YouTube open with the
No,
volume up at all?
no, I'm just on StreamYard. I'm not the only. I have my phone with YouTube open, but not playing, just so I can read the chat.
Okay.
But I just think maybe my Wi-Fi just got a little effed up and caused a nasty echo. Where it was
It's good
actually
now, though?
like it was. Yeah, we're perfect. It was squealing in my ear, so we're
Oh
good.
my goodness.
Yeah, it was bad. So yeah, getting back to the dog looked very healthy going back a few years. That's where I went back. It's a pretty jacked up pit bull, you know. So
What do you think
I don't
about
think it
that
has.
theory?
You know, as I said, we talked about it from once we heard that when the neighbor said that the dog was removed. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't know, man, because if you want the dog hair, you could just take it at the house. If you want the dog's blood for
No,
DNA, you
but
could.
if let's say you just pluck it off the dog, that's not
Yeah.
in a controlled setting. In court,
No, but
they're like, oh
that's
well,
what I
they
was
could
gonna
have got it
say.
from anywhere.
Yeah, no, that's what I was gonna say. Like the only reason that I'm saying would be, did they want to go, to a controlled environment, get the hair, get the blood? That's possible. But
Hmm.
also, did they want the paw prints and do a mold?
But was
Was
Tony, was he arrested? Was he arrested that day? Do we know?
no. From what we know, he was not arrested that day, but they did
So they
serve a
wouldn't take
search
his
warrant.
dog. There's no reason for them to take his dog. They
Exactly.
had a
There's
warrant for the
only
dog.
if they wanted to analyze that dog.
Check this.
Because no,
Check this
but the
theory.
reason I brought up that he was healthy is people are saying, "Oh, was he malnourished?" And they took it,
Yeah,
to protect the dog. That
that's a good thought.
it is. But the
That's a
dog
great thought.
looks, from the pictures, looks very healthy, looks jacked. You know what it looks like?
Um,
That dog actually resembles Chadwell's pit bulls.
mhm.
Like, did they come from the same breeder? That's a question
It's
too.
possible.
Were those dogs? Was the dog gifted for some pictures? Hypothetical. We don't know, but it's just coincidental that that dog has the same kind of build as Chadwell's dogs.
That gray color matches as well. That gray
Yeah,
and white
very,
dots.
very interesting. So getting back to the foot molds, you know, in my head, I have Tony at least there, if not doing the crime himself with somebody else or multiple people there. But was the dog there as a ruse? We're just out on the trail walking our dog.
No, check this theory out real quick.
Okay.
Okay. So, in my opinion, Bridge Guy is not Tony Klein. When I look at Bridge Guy, I don't see Tony Klein. I see a slender guy with a bulky jacket and maybe like a fanny pack or something hanging. So imagine him hanging out at Tony's house, touching the dog, holding the dog, and grabs one of the girls and he transfers the hair from his body to their body. Tony Klein never touches the girls with his own hands. It's always this guy. So when they say we know that the killer is the young sketch, it's because
Yeah.
some DNA maybe be tied to him, but maybe the dog hair and the transfer of some type animal hair went from this man to one of the girls.
That is definitely a possibility. I just personally feel from that affidavit with HLN how Keegan is now basically saying his father's capable of murder, but it wasn't him because we were at grandma's, and then we watched wrestling, But did he have access to Anthony's shots? Well, yeah, we lived in the same house. He could have, it just Keegan is now basically saying his father could be the guy, but he wasn't there because we were here. The alibi sucks because there's open hours there that there's no response to. But in my opinion, my police opinion, that man was there. At least
I
there.
agree.
At least there. If not the man that did the murders. And the height and weight being removed. Tony Klein in 2017, he's about 5'11", 245 to 265 pounds. So was that removed to get it off and So the narrative of everything that they're blossoming to fits. So the puzzle pieces are all clinging together. And the only person they got to squeeze to get the flip is Mr. Kagan with 30 felonies over his head, looking at
One
God knows
piece.
how
He's
many
the
years.
one piece. He's
Yeah,
the one
he
piece.
is.
It's him.
I
They're
believe,
making a deal.
and you saw
They're making a
the
deal,
video
bro.
I did with the 2019 presser. The new
Yeah.
we're going in a new direction. You never thought we would shift gears. Racing. Racing. It's a racing term. I mean, yeah, shifting gears could be said about anything, but why use
Good
that?
catch.
Why use that verbiage? Shift gears.
What if it's a race car driver?
He was, and at that time, he was talking directly to the killer. I love hearing him say that, because when people talk shit about Doug Carter and the person that he is, anybody who believes that this man doesn't want this piece of shit that did these murders in jail for the rest of their life, if not, getting the death penalty, they're crazy. This case, this man in 5 years has aged. He's not even looking for the next governor after Holcomb to come in and keep him on as superintendent. He's going to retire. This case is eating him alive, along with probably everybody else that's been on it. And they've had 20 different police departments with officers that were sent to assist in this case. So when you think about the totality of how many people from different departments, federal, town, county, state, that have had their hands on this case, and Sleuth, think about it. Nobody has talked. Nobody. There's no, you're not hearing much of any slippage in a 5-year period. It shows you the determination, and the guys that were brought into this case came in to solve it. You got guys that are like, oh, this could be an overtime cash cow, because you have cops like that. But they're not picking guys that are the loads that just are at work to answer their calls and aren't looking to progress and actually solve crimes.
And
They
Doug
wanted
Carter
to-
ain't as nice as he looks on TV. I guarantee that.
No, well, did you see him snap? He snaps at the guy Rich from News Nation. You gotta play that clip. We've never seen Doug Carter turn, but he snapped at him and said, "Rich, I'm not here to talk about the evidence," but you see on his face he's pissed, because the
Yeah.
guy Rich kept digging.
Don't get
He
it
asked-
twisted when it comes to Doug Carter. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
I agree. Listen, cops have to have balls, Sleuth. You got to be ready. You got to be ready for anything. You got to be ready if there's somebody shooting at other people, that you're willing to get out of that car and put your life in between the people that are being shot at. That's what you sign up for. It's just it's like a fireman. A fireman signs up to go into a burning building and fight that fire to save life and property.
CD, because of time, do you want to
Yeah.
take some of these questions that are coming
Yeah,
at you
let's
here?
do it. Yeah, let's do it.
I just threw one up for you here.
Well, I do think they want separation with the renting of the new building space. I also think it's for when a trial comes and they need to, as Doug Carter said, they need to bring 80 to 100 investigators in to go over every tip from day one to now. So I think they're setting up to have enough space to handle what needs to be done to have a successful prosecution. Hope that helps. The warrant was not the warrant. Let's to 2017, February 25th. The warrant was for Keegan and for the house. Tony was interviewed at first for the IP address confirmation and the confirmation of the account for Comcast. And then it was all to Keegan, to his devices, with the 5C that was hidden somewhere. I believe it was either, I believe they pulled up and they saw the cars coming. And I believe they either hid it underneath Daddy's seat in the car or brought it in the house, and when nobody was looking, threw it somewhere. But I've been saying that's day one. That what an error, because he specifies that the iPhone 5C is his main phone. Why the hell didn't they get that phone that day? Because if they had that phone that day, this case would have been solved 5 years ago.
What if
Is that
Keegan didn't know where it was? What if Tony grabbed it?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That phone would have solved this case 5 years ago. He deleted Snapchat, reinstalled it again to make sure nothing was there. Same thing with Kick Messenger. deleted it, reinstalled it to make sure nothing was there, because they hit him with obstruction of justice. That's one of the charges on him for deleting stuff.
Yeah,
If you look at those charges, he's got a ton of charges. That's the only thing that fits with obstruction. There's nothing else he's
You got
obstructing.
another one here. This is a good one.
Hiding in plain sight, a term that used all the time. A geocache, you take whatever it's worth, ready to teach you. Yeah, Brian, I get it. I don't think that teacher is involved in this at all. I mean,
What do you think about geocaching, though? Never mind the teacher.
Geocaching, they Libby.
This is what they look like. They're always carrying a bunch of gear and shit.
Yeah, Libby and Kelsey were into geocaching, and they did geocache the cache that was on the bridge. I think a couple months prior, Kelsey says. So yeah, they were into it. I just don't think the teacher, the guy, I don't think he has anything to do with this. I really don't.
What about geocaching though in general? You think that's like a small possibility?
No, I don't think so.
Not at all. Not with the evidence.
Nah. Where we're going, Sleuth, it was a Snapchat it was a catfish the whole time from Snapchat. It was. Yeah.
Law enforcement
and that's
knows,
why I put the clip up of Sergeant what the hell's his name? Sergeant from ISP. It's in my video. I'm talking about it was from the presser. I gotta look. Hold on.
Holman?
No, not Holman. Sergeant I'm having a brain fart.
You got Kim Riley.
No, Captain Dave Burston.
Yeah, Burston. That's what I said.
I didn't hear you. Sorry. Dave Burston talks about it at the first presser. That it's not likely that this person didn't know them or know them at least from social media. He says it from the first presser they did. Who's your girl? I'm happy you're with me. When I came on Sleuth's Live that night, and it was after I actually was just digging TK that night a few months back, right after this came out, and I said, don't discount Tony Klein. The likes on his Facebook, who he was liking and following, on he was you can like pages and follow them, all young girls. It was just the roadmap for a crumb was there. Then you go into his criminal history and see what he was doing, how he was able to beat up a woman in front of a child, then used his vehicle to taunt that girl walking home from school with another male in his car. It tells you what a piece of shit he is.
Do we know who that other male was?
Remember, I know, listen, I get it. You wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, but when you go over all those little pieces, that man's a piece of shit. He gets no benefit of the doubt.
Who's the other male that was with him that day? Do we know?
They didn't say. It was redacted. They didn't say. Which is interesting. Which I'll bring the guy up because he's bothered me for a few months. Jimmy Duvall, another Chrysler worker, 1989, impersonated a police officer. He did it twice. He did within 2 months of each other, and he was arrested the second time. I believe they might have charged him for the first time after the second one. Got a 11 or 12-year-old girl in his car, and he actually started cutting her up, Sleuth. I don't know how she got away. We have to thank the Lord that she did. He only did about 9-10 years for a kidnapping and an assault with a deadly weapon. He only did, and I believe he, sexually assaulted her too. But he only did 9 or 10 years. But
He'll do it again.
Jimmy Duvall was at the Chrysler plant working February 28th. LE goes there. They take him out. I believe he was in cuffs taken out, and, they brought him to interrogate him on Delphi. And there was such a rumble in and around Delphi that they had their man, and it was Jimmy Duvall. This is citizens. That ISP, I think I sent you the tweet. ISP put a tweet out and said, at this time, we do not have anybody under arrest for the Delphi murders. They had to clarify that because people believed, because people knew who Jimmy Duvall was. When they heard that he was taken out, they're like, oh my God, this is the man. So my question is, does Tony Klein and Jimmy Duvall know each other? Both into racing. Like there's a lot of things that line the dots, both into racing in and around Indiana. Jimmy Duvall is also a car guy. It's just, do they know each other? No, Brian, no, we're not knocking you, dude. Not knocking you. Always good question. I love every question. I don't, any question's a good question. Don't take it as me knocking your question, man. Asking questions is always good. What's that? CD Sleuth, what do you think about BP? Saying
Check
Libby
your
asked
Patty.
them because she wanted to see other kids that were there that BK, I mean, we know why why she went there. You know, did
Yeah.
she want to go take pictures? Yeah, but she also wanted to meet Anthony Schatz.
She was there for business.
Yep, yep.
She
You
had
know,
business to take care of that day.
I watched your video, and you said in your video you did on that, you said that you know, he wanted to clarify that she deleted her phone, right?
Yep, that's what I think.
You know what my question is? You know how that iPhones are very hard to give a virus to, unless a file is sent and you download it. So my question is, did Anthony Schatz send a picture with an embedded virus to fuck the phone up, so that would have to be reset no matter what? Because from what Tara German says, I think it was CrimeCon that they were talking. Tara German talks about how the phone was really acting up bad and it wasn't working, so they had to reset it. So was there a virus that was fired off through a picture, and once she downloaded it, fucked the whole phone up? I mean, that's possible too.
Yeah, because this could be textbook shit for these pedos. Oh,
Yep.
we got our virus. We got
Listen,
this. We got everything we need.
Keegan, you know, he's a pretty he's a pretty savvy guy with technology. Not only meeting young girls
I
online
don't think
as a
he would
predator.
have to be. This could just be some textbook tools that are used in that, with these sickos.
Well, his friend that Murder Sheet interviewed a few months ago, the friend that he sold him an iPad for $100, right?
The dark web and the crypto stuff.
Well, he also says that Keegan was he was able to build websites and stuff too. So he was technologically savvy with building stuff. So to embed a little virus in a picture, that's nothing for him. What does Fig think? Fig, what's up, my man? Hope all is well, buddy. Yeah, he's hanging out. What does he think about that theory though of a possible picture sent with a virus that would fuck the phone up? You know, maybe he asked her, you know, I want you to delete your phone. Oh, no.
What about this? What about picking up the burner phone that he handed her? Maybe that's how they were able to keep some type of a relationship without anybody really knowing.
Yeah, it's possible. I just think that the Patty's, it's a very busy household, and Libby's a busy girl with sports and stuff, that very hard to keep track of what they're doing on social media. And Anthony Schatz, remember, was portraying himself as a younger person. You know,
Yeah, but
18,
check this
19.
out. I worked with a happily married woman that I thought, you know what I mean? Her husband would bring her lunch, would bring the kids.
Yeah, I'm ready for this.
But what he did not know is
The life she had on the side.
She had a burner phone that she kept on the side. He never knew about it. Ever.
So
she had two phones.
Do you know how many arrests we had and how many men and women had a burner phone hidden in their car somewhere?
So I'm saying
and it was
simple.
under, like, the rubber mats. Yeah, you get the rubber mats that fit, and then you have your old carpet mat underneath. These women and men, they'd hide all the way up underneath the gas pedal. They'd hide their phone underneath both mats. Their husband and wife, they're never going to check there unless the car is going back and they're removing mats. You never. Like, you go to a car wash, they only take the rupper one out. They don't take the carpet one out because it's not dirty. You know, like, they're very savvy. So people, dude, we know this. Just, people are sneaky. They're sneaky.
Very sneaky.
It's like, why? Listen, you know what? You want to do your thing when you're not married, blah, blah, all good. Once you get married, you have kids, you're going to risk it all. Is it worth it?
Dude, I was tempted, dude, because her husband was such a nice guy. I was so tempted. Just not my place,
Yeah. I know.
Man.
I get it. It's like you want to just fire off an anonymous email. Hey,
no, I wanted to tell him right in front. I wanted to tell him like right in front of her.
Because when you think about it, it's like now you know, and it's like in your heart, you're like, man, this is so fucked up. You know how wrong it is. This guy's a good guy, hard worker, providing for his family, and she's got a different life on the side. Oh yeah,
bringing her lunch and everything.
Yeah,
man.
I'm going shopping after work. Hell yeah, you're going shopping, right?
No, you want to hear a story she told me? She said that he caught the closest he ever came to catching her was he found like baby wipes in the trunk. Like, what the hell are these?
Oh boy, cleanups. They were cleanup, dude. So do you know how many?
Disgusting.
Do you know how many times when it was wintertime, I'm at work, right? And you pull down onto a dead end street, and at the bottom of that dead end is a car off, and the windows are so fogged up, you know what's going down in there.
Oh
you know? Oh, you
Oh,
and you
been
just
there.
once
You
you
act like
put
I
the
wasn't a teenager. Come
dude,
on.
listen, and you know what? I give him 60 seconds after I put the light on, get your clothes on, and let's talk about what's going on. But once that spotlight would hit, dude, it was like bugs in the car. You know, arms flying, legs flying. They're trying to get their clothes. Oh, dude. And then you go over and you're scared that you go on the passenger side. They're waiting for the driver's side, and you just tap your mag light on the window. Oh, dude. You have no,
Keep it
they
moving.
open and they're
Keep it
purple.
moving.
Oh, no, they're purple. They open the windows and they're like, we're so sorry about my, yeah, you people. Let me tell you. Listen, not my place, but what you guys are doing is wrong. I know what, these are, 40, 35, 40-year-old adults, not children out there. They're out there cheating on their spouse. It's disgusting. Go get a room. Go get a room. Don't be doing on the dead end, but dude, just some funny things at work where you get a chuckle.
Too much of a money trail. Too much of a money trail.
Oh, I know. That's, listen, I know of a guy, I know a friend of mine who happily married 2 kids, right? He works. The wife stopped working, take care of the kids. He goes on to AT&T. He's paying his cell phone bill. And dude, for some reason that day, he hit like locate his wife. He never done it before, right? And the fucking locator comes back at a motel, right? Like a sleazy motel. And he's like, wow, this is so weird. So he goes home from work and he says to his wife, he's like, hey, he goes, I gotta tell you, he goes, I've never done it before. I just clicked the button on paying the bill and it showed you were at a motel. She's like, and she's yeah, dude, she's European, so she has an accent. She's like, whatever his name is, she's like, I was shopping. I would never, why would I be at the sleazy motel like that, right? He doesn't think so. He thinks it's just an error on the locator. Dude, he goes on his Easy Pass and he sees that like every day, like 3 days a week for 2 months, she's using the Easy Pass to cross a bridge after the kids go to school. And then she comes back an hour before the kids get out off the bus from school. Dude, she finally came clean when he grilled her. She was hooking up with a guy she dated like, I don't know, 12 years, right? A year before she met him and they got married years later. Some loser who was lying to her, telling her he was retired, living in mommy's basement at 40 years old. Sleuth. The guy had nothing, dude, it just twisted it how deep, people can get. She threw her whole life away. She's with the guy. And now, you know how the courts go. This guy, my friend from high school is paying for her to travel with the guy, and they have, listen, he loves his kids. They have 50-50 custody. The kids are with him 90% of the time, so in his head, he's like, man, I'm paying all this money. So she's traveling around and I'm taking care of my kids. But he's like, if I say something at court, she's going to, he's just basically letting her do her thing so he could have his time with his kids. But I mean, it just shows you, dude, you never know what's going on in somebody's head. They were married 10 years. You would never know anything's there, and boom. Yeah, it makes sense, right, Fig? I believe so too,
He has a follow-up here too as well.
Oh, yeah? Just got threatened to. Yeah, true. But then but from what Tara said I think it was CrimeCon, she said that she did, saw exactly how bad the phone was acting up. I mean, was she just saying that? We don't know. We don't know. But I just think a virus, it just works. It fits. It fits the puzzle. Hold on 1 second. So I think my little guy's crying. Hold on 1 sec.
All right. Let's see. Law enforcement said the bridge guy is responsible for the murders, but they have not called him the killer. Lots of indication law enforcement is looking at more than one perp. Yeah, I agree. Dave Burston kind of alludes to that fact. He kind of puts his hands up like a screen and he says,
you don't know what's to the left, to the right.
Yeah.
Yep. That's why unless they have that on the audio, it's hard for them to say there's multiple people there in the beginning, because they have to go through every piece of DNA they find, and try and figure out who the hell's who, and that's another thing, like we were talking about last time about the DNA. Like, that's my opinion, is that even a partial, anybody working this case, even the prosecutor's office, they want 100% lock, stock, and barrel. They're going to have a successful prosecution. They don't want to, have a half-ass DNA sample that can really be tested at court. you know, because that you don't want, you know, if this does go to trial, you don't want in the jury's head that little bit of doubt that this guy isn't the guy. And you've seen cases where the DNA basically ruins the whole case. You know, you don't want somebody getting off that did this. That's the basic thing to it. So, you know, I think, do you know that I mean, I know about DNA. I'm just not an expert. So I wanted to dive in. I'm actually making a video on it. Do you know that we're only 1% difference than chimpanzees? Our DNA, there's only a 1% different piece to break us from a chimpanzee. Is that not mind-blowing to you? If you think of a chimpanzee at the zoo, dude, they're throwing shit at each other. So
That's what we do all the time.
well, yeah, just not literally, you know,
Yeah.
they're like catching it and like throwing it at each other. But you know what I mean? It's just when you think about how, you know, how crazy DNA is evolving in cases, and did they consult experts on what they got, and you know how hard it could be contested. It's possible, you know, it is possible. But I mean, this one, I wanted to make a point on this. This was filed on.
I think I had one more up here too.
This was filed on February 1st, 2022, the Keegan Klein Barbara interview, right? So the interview took place December. So, you know, almost 3 months later, they're getting the transcript filed, you know, and on record. So, you know, are they built, you know, they're actively building their case, you know, into the system. That's
Final
what it sounds
thought,
like.
CD.
Yeah.
Final thought.
Final thought. Final thought is we are closer than we've ever been. I am really feeling strongly that arrests could be coming by June. I will say June, given it under 3 months, in my opinion. That could change, but that's where I'm at right now. Again, I feel Tony was at least at the scene of the murders, if not the murderer. And Keegan was possibly there, and not even as an accessory, but as just was he just an observer? Was he filming it? We don't know, you know. But I feel we are so close, and I feel arrests are coming. I mean, Doug Carter has changed his verbiage, and we know a lot about you, and the arrest could be tomorrow or the next day. You know, it's coming. So I think we're getting close, man. Great chat tonight, and you know, we're getting there. You know, and if people haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel so I could get to 500 and be able to have a community post. That's annoying. You can't post anything if you have 500 people.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost there. I think we're at 320 or something. Getting there.
Yeah, so you should be there in a couple days.
Yeah, I think I'll get there. Analysis of a crime with CD. Please subscribe. And Sleuth, whenever you're ready, we'll do another one, man. It's always good talking to you.
Yeah, let's do it soon.
Absolutely. We'll get Fig on if Fig's around with, you know, the three-headed monster. I like it. like the dragons from the Targaryens, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah, no, I think I think law enforcement is so close to bringing somebody down and putting those bracelets on. And man, it's going to be such a different talk when it happens, you know?
I don't think 3 months is overly optimistic at all.
I don't think so either. No, I don't. Because I'm just going by, you know, what I'm seeing, and the way Carter didn't want to talk about anything to do with evidence. He just wanted to talk about how the families, how the community, you know, was handling the case, and that's it. That tells me that they don't need anything anymore, Sleuth. They have it. You know, they don't need help. They're removing stuff with the stats. They don't want a guy 5'6", 160 pounds being tipped in anymore. You know, they want the guy tipped in. You know, so I think we are so close, and I feel Keegan is going to break. You know, Kagan. I feel he's going to break in an interrogation and flip. You know,
I think he's just waiting on a deal, the right deal.
Well, as of now, I mean, that was 2 months ago. You know, they pulled any plea bargain deals because he's not giving them what they want. And that's what listen, the prosecution has to play it that we are giving you nothing unless you give us this. Nothing. There's nothing for you. You're gonna do years, 30 felonies. You're gonna do 50 years unless you buckle and break.
Yeah,
So,
but he
like,
knows he's holding better cards.
well, he is, but he's got to do the right thing with those cards.
I think he is. His lawyer's just dealing right now. I'm telling you, that's what I feel.
Well, he's got I believe he has a public defender, and let's be honest, you don't want to go to a trial. I don't care what you have, but if you have 30 felonies over your head, you really don't want a public defender being the guy to go to trial for you. Because in his eyes, he's only getting paid XYZ from the state, and that's why it's they keep pushing back, and he's saying that he needs more time for discovery. He's just pushing. He's gonna slow it down as much as he can to hopefully get Kagan to give what they want and a plea deal happen. Listen, let's say this. Before we go, let's put it this way. Say Kagan was not there, but he knows his father was, and he's the one piece.
That's what I think happened.
And think about it this way: if ISP, Carroll County, if they can't arrest the person without Kagan, you might see him get nothing for the CSAM stuff. If he gives this, you know what I mean? Like a year or 2 years, something to where, he's going to be monitored, for years. He's going to be a sex offender, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, he's not going to get what he should. But if he's the one piece that gives this case and gives Libby's family, Abby's family, the entire community, the justice that's Libby and Abby, the justice that's deserved, you got to do what you got to do, man.
Yeah, but I don't see anything less than 10 years, maybe.
No, I don't
served.
Either. No, I don't. I'm just saying hype. Listen,
that's fair. I mean, that's a good trade, especially if they can prove that he wasn't involved in the actual murder.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's it. That's if he was there. That's a different story. I'm just saying hypothetically, if he wasn't there, but he knows that he was there,
and that's what I think happened.
He's at 18 months, dude, and he is not looking good for being in jail 18 months. The guy is not looking so healthy right now.
No.
So if he wants his health back and he knows something, you better buckle, bitch.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You still got a future. If you weren't involved in this crime, you still have somewhat of a future.
I mean, listen, he's a young guy. He don't look like a young guy, but was he 27?
Yeah, 27.
Look at what he looks like. His hair is gone. Everything. His life is crumbling. He's not that man.
Skin disease.
That boy is not meant for jail, man. He can't handle it. It's showing you he can't handle what's going on in those walls. So we're close, man. Good night to the crew. And as always, we'll do it again. It was a great chat. We always have good chats, man. We always bounce off when we get places.
Yeah, and sometimes I just get spaced out. I'm just listening to the crazy fucking stories you're telling me. I'm like,
I got crazy ones. Sometimes I have to go to crazy places. It just happens,
But we need it. We need to hear it.
Well, the whole thing is we need reality. People, anybody listening to us, they need to know what is happening as soon as that man. Yeah, well, for kids, I want to do a live on that. People need to know. You got to talk to your kids because these people are professionals. They know. They practice. They get tips from other predators. They know how to talk to our kids to get them to. Yes. If they contact 100 kids and only 2 kids give them something, they're successful.
How many phones did this guy have? Like 3 between the household Kleins?
Well, no, it took, I think, 7 devices from him. Yeah. Some were not used for 2 years. I think it was 5 phones. Samsung, man. The 5C, an iPhone 4.
So that means they're double fisting it. They got 2 phones in each hand.
That's what I'm saying. Working on this one. Working on this one. Let's go back here. This person answered.
Each phone is a character they're playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, we're so close. We really are. I feel it. I'm analyzing everything the last, from the 5-year. I'm watching all the interviews over and over again, and what I'm seeing from Doug Carter is a different man. He's a man that knows how close they are to blowing this puppy wide open. Think about all the sex offenders they're arresting. Affidavits, prior investigation. What investigations are coming from? I feel it's coming from Kagan's Dropbox, which I dubbed Pandora's box. Because that's what it is, man.
Mr. Big.
Yep, worldwide, man. That man.
Who's Mr. Big?
that slob, mess. But dude, as always, great chat, and we'll talk an email, man.
All right, I'll check you later. Take care.
You got it. Good night, everybody.
So once again, I want to thank everybody for joining us live for a Delphi discussion. Got blessed with the presence of a good friend, CD. Go check him out. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to do this again. I'm going to check in with my members here, if not tomorrow and the following day, and then we'll get live. Just remember, guys, ignore all the bull. People are trying to intimidate me. People are trying to put dirt on my name. We're going to ignore it, and we're going to push on, and we're going to start doing things a little bit better and a little more focused on the case, because I believe it is almost over. We're going to see it to the end, and then we're gonna find another one, or maybe a couple, and we'll do it again. We'll see. We'll try to see that one through to the end as well. You guys take care.